Tanzania, Uganda, and all the other neighbors are in the least development countries.
Mr. President William Ruto may have just learned the hard way that in diplomacy, it is not always what you say, it is how you say it. While addressing a round-table discussion aimed at strengthening bilateral trade between Kenya and China, President Ruto was confronted with a pointed concern. Why are investors increasingly opting for neighboring East African countries such as Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda since he assumed office?
Aspect that we're going to have a look at are the revenue, the tax value. Majority of our business people are losing due to the shift in the East African bloc. The focus now is running to Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda. To an extent, even Kenyans are going to Uganda to buy goods and come sell back to China. Meaning that the trading in Kenya is suffocating. We are suffocating. Therefore, we request that you look at the value. Just review kidogo from 18% at some point, songesha at 12%.
Rather than directly addressing the root causes of capital flight from Kenya, President Ruto shifted the focus to a broader economic perspective. He argued that investors are choosing Tanzania and Uganda due to their classification as least development countries, LDCs, under World Bank ratings. Now this, he explained, allows those nations to enjoy duty-free privileges on important raw materials, a key incentive for investors.
But on matters to do with what you're saying, let me just explain to you why sometimes people find it easy to go to Uganda or Tanzania for purposes of getting goods and services to this country. It is exactly the problem I want to solve by signing the bilateral labor agreement. You know, the difference between us and our neighbors is that Kenya is in the middle income category. Our neighbors, Tanzania, Uganda, and all the other neighbors are in the least developed countries. They are in LCDs, LDCs, and we are in the other countries. So we are categorized higher than them, and therefore, while they export duty-free, Kenya exports with duty. And that is why you heard me say that is the agreement we want to negotiate. We want to negotiate a preferential trade agreement that will now put Kenya at par with our neighbors. You will not be experiencing the problems you are experiencing today. That is the agreement we want to sign, that today Kenya is different from the other countries because of the categorization of our economy as opposed to our neighbors.
While Ruto's remarks were grounded in economic facts, they sparked controversy back home and across the region. Some viewed his explanation as a diplomatic blunder, framing Kenya's neighbors as underdeveloped in order to justify Kenya's investment struggles. It is extremely hard to defend this man. His bloggers find it embarrassing cooking theories in his defense. As a head of state, you don't badmouth other countries. Not at all. More your next door neighbors. One Kenyan reacted. Now, critics argue that in competitive regional economics, such comparisons can backfire. Though Uganda and Tanzania are indeed classified as LDCs by the World Bank, political analysts warned that publicly highlighting a competitor's weaknesses can inadvertently elevate their profile. Kenya, like its East African peers, is in constant economic competition. By directly naming Tanzania and Uganda, Ruto may have inadvertently drawn more attention to them as viable investment destinations. This contrasts sharply with the diplomatic tone taken by Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu during Kenya's 2024 Finance Bill protest. Without naming Kenya directly, she tactfully referred our neighbors when speaking of the influx of investors into Tanzania, demonstrating a more subtle strategic approach to regional competition.
Mkurugenzi wa kituo cha uwekezaji Tanzania, anahojiwa kwenye TV, akasema mwezi Mei na Juni tumepokea wawekezaji kiasi ambacho hatujawahi kupokea, wengi mno, na thamani ya miradi iliyokuja ni hii. Lakini ukitizama sababu ni nini? Sababu ni kwamba kwa jirani kuna waka moto, na mwekezaji hakai kuna kuwaka moto, wanakimbia wanakuja zao kwenye amani na utulivu. Niwaombe